to gain the reward by your effort and your actions. Even differentiate that for or not, because there are some certain rules that apply for masbuq. For example, that imagine Imam, because a mistake he made that required for him to make sujood qabli before salam. In your case, you should not follow the Imam for making up for sujood. Making up for sujood. Because the rules of masbuq are not applied for you. Because you have not catch any rak'ah. But if you prayed behind Imam even one rak'ah, then you follow him if he had to make up for a mistake, even that mistake that happened before you joined. Am I clear? So that's first of all. So you are not considered as masbuq. Now, whether you came in the last tashahhud or you just started by your own, is it okay that somebody will choose me as an imam? Yes. There's no issue with that. And all scholars agreed upon that. He can choose you as an imam, like, praying. Like, let's say you're praying Maghrib, and he said, you know what, let me join, like he will join me. Now, do I have right, if I have a special prayer and I'm praying and I don't want him to join me? Yes, I could make a sign that he should not join me. But if I allowed him, or even if I didn't know that he's following me, that is count as a jama'ah? Yes, that's count as a jama'ah. Even let's say somebody he doesn't know, he's focusing 100%, he has khushu', or he's a blind, he doesn't know that somebody, he's joining him and praying, with him. Is that count as a jama'ah? Yes, count as jama'ah. And it's a free reward. He gets the reward of jama'ah that, somebody is offered that for him. Okay. Do I have to make the intention that I'm an imam in this, time? No. I don't have to make intention that I'm an imam in this situation. It's must for me to make an intention that I'm an imam in 5 situations only. The scholars, they make it simple for us. They said, jimayni wa kha'ayni, and then the other one by itself. So jimayni, jum'ah wa al-jamma. Al-jamma. Wa al-khawf wal istikhlaf. So Salatul Jumu'ah, in Salatul Jumu'ah, yes, you have to make the intention that you're an imam. Salatul Jamma, when you combine the prayers, Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha, then you have to make the intention that you are an imam. Or khawf, that special salah at the time of the war. Or istikhlaf, when you are replacing imam that he left the salah for a reason, like he remembered that when he started with no wudu, or he had the discharge during the salah, then you are continue with jama'ah, leading with the jama'ah, that these conditions. In this situation, yes, you have to make intention that you are an imam. And the 5th one, when the regular imam praying by himself. In these 5 situations, that you made the intention that you are an imam. Otherwise, no, you don't have to. It's good to make it. You don't have to. Because if you made the intention, then you will worry about the person that praying behind you. The example of that somebody started by himself the salah, and then he became an imam, that's when the Prophet was praying at night. And it happened many times. Many of the Sahaba, when they entered the mosque, they found him praying, they joined him. So they joined him after he prayed. And one time Ibn Abbas, he said, I joined him, but I stood on the left side. So the Prophet, he grabbed me and he placed me in the right side. And that's obvious that happened when the Salah already started. So he started praying by himself, and then somebody joined him in his prayer. Am I clear? Yeah. May Allah accept it.
السلام عليكم شيخ
عليكم
بارك الله
السلام
فيكم
ورحمة
نفع
الله.
الله بكم وزادكم من علمه.
آمين يا جماعة.
Just a question inshallah, like one case, let's say I'm traveling and I came to the masjid at the time of Maghrib and I pray Maghrib with the Imam. Alhamdulillah, no issues. Now I want to pray Isha.
Yes.
Then it happens that a new Jama'ah came, they started the second Maghrib prayer, and I and maybe another group who are traveling want to start also Isha. Do we start separate Jama'ah with a separate intention, or we join them with an intention of like 2 rak'ah of Isha, or what is the best thing to do, I mean?
So other group are traveler?
No, and they most probably will be praying Maghrib.
So it's better that if you're a traveler to pray by yourself.
Okay.
Like if somebody wants to pray behind you, that's fine. You know? So if you are in the case of traveling, you know, and you know, pray by yourself, and the Prophet when he will travel, he will pray qasr, and then he will make salam, and he will order them to continue their salah, and he will say, Inna qawmun sufur. So we are travelers, and please, you know, continue your salah. So in that case, either you pray yourself, or you are leading them, and then they will continue their prayer. Yes. And there is a karaha of the one musafir leading the one is, you know, muqim in some school of thought. But if there is an option, then the one he's traveling, he's the best option. The one is traveling, the one he should lead the salah. Alaykum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's
a similar question. If I was traveling and we were 3 or 4 people, those are not traveler. It's only me was traveling, and I need to make qasr and jama' between dhuhr and asr.
Okay.
And we need to make jama'ah together. How should we proceed?
Yeah, it's very similar. So you are as a traveler. If you came in a regular jama'ah, like you know the masjid or regular jama'ah, they're already there, then join them and pray with them in full. But if you all work together in conference or whatever, then it's best that you will lead the salah as a traveler. So you lead the salah, then they will pray behind you and they continue by their own. That's, you know, the best, you know, option. But if you join the regular salah, there's no other option except to pray with them, you know, as the way. Some people, they will say, you know what, I pray 2 rak'ah and then I sit until the salam. No, there's no evidence for that. There's no any evidence for this, and actually the evidence against. إنما جعل الإمام ليؤتم به. That's your imam, and you have to follow. You know, that's fine. You will lose that, you know, sunnah in that case, but Allah will reward you according to your intention. And that's actually one of the reasons that the scholars, when they encourage for people to travel in a group, so always good to travel with somebody. And they will mention the benefit, they talk about the salah. So you will gain the jama'ah in these cases. Ameen. Okay, any question from the sister side? Bismillah. There's a mic there. You want to grab it. Okay, until maybe the sisters will be ready. They are ready? Okay, go ahead. They can use yours. Bismillah. And it's very important to ask about our deen, and especially now when the sisters come and ask, remind me about the statement of our mother Aisha. She said, رحم الله زوجات الأنصار لم يمنعهن حياءهن أن يسألن عن أمور دينهن. May Allah grant mercy for the wives of Ansar. their modesty and chastity never prevented them of asking about their religion. And it was mentioned in the Sirah that's around 9 sisters, 9 of the Sahabiyat, asking the Prophet ﷺ about the rules of hayd, or something related to the menses, how they should do, and all of those 9 from Ansar. SubhanAllah. So they are open to learn, which something that's maybe different from people living in the city and those people living in the other areas. So Medina counts as a city that people are more open, and one of the advantages of that, they are coming forward to ask. Okay, are you there now, sister?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My question is about the Salat Maghrib and Isha. Isha is long. Can we pray early?
Okay, she's asking, is Isha in some days are late,
Yeah.
Can I pray early? Okay, let me tell you something. These ibadat, it's part of taklif. Part of taklif. And taklif, ma huwa taklif? Talabu ma fihi kulfah. Taklif, that when Allah will ask you something that's required effort. So kulfa, it's in need, to make an effort to do that. It's not a piece of cake. It's not something just, easy. No, required effort. And more struggle, more reward. And no pain, no gain. However, Allah never asked us to do something except in our ability. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Whatever Allah commands us to do, it's in our ability, in our sa'a, and within our range of ability. And another ayah, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها. So, that's generally speaking. But in some circumstances, in some of the situations, that will be beyond the ability of people to handle, will cause other, like an extra struggle that's not that normal. In those cases, there are forms of takhfif, of easiness, forms of make it accessible, make it in a way that will be possible to practice. If it comes in a situation that will be extra burning, it will be something not easy to handle. Okay, and there are forms of takhfif in Sharia. Our Sharia is beautiful. And that's why one of the main 5 high principles, and they called the maxim of the rules of operations, the 5 high maxims. One of that, al-mashaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir. So when there's difficulties, that will lead to a form of easiness. You get the point? وَالْأَمْرُ إِذَا ضَاقَ اتَّسَعَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. In Surah Al-Baqarah, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about siyam, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah said in another ayah, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَنْ يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. So we are weak in some situations. So that's why Allah made it easier for us. Can we, before I answer the sister, can we name some forms of takhfif in Sharia? Okay? Al-jam'u wal-qasru fi-safar. So jam'u salati wa qasruha, that to combine the prayers and to shorten it, that's one of the forms. Yes, dropping the salah for the sisters at the time of their period, their menses, when they're at the time of haid, there's no salah for them. And they, no siyam at that time, but they make up in other days. And what other forms of takhfif? Yes, the same, Jama and Qasr. What's other forms? In Sharia, there's plenty of forms of takhfif. Yes, it's not B7 well, let's say he will combine in a common reason and in other reason that not common. So always there's a reason, but the other reason that's not that common. That's the point of the hadith. Jama'a min ghayri matarin, because the matar is a common one. But there's other reason. Doesn't mean that he did it with no reason. That's only Shia, they do that with no reason. Okay, they said, yes, so there are many forms of takhfif. Now, combining the prayer when Isha, it's too late, for people where, it's hard. That's we'll say for those that have a health condition where they fall asleep, where they cannot wait for the time of Isha, and if they not praying and combining the prayer at the time of Maghrib, they end up to miss it. So they sleep at Maghrib, but they are not going to even wake up until Fajr. In these cases, yes, they can combine. But if they can wait till time Isha, no, they cannot combine. If they will sleep and they wake up before Fajr, then no, there's no reason for them to combine. So the rukhsa, that rukhsa tuqaddaru biqadariha. When there's a permission, it's limited to its condition and circumstances. So it's not for everyone in our region. However, in some places where the time it's really abnormal times, yes, in those cases they can. In those cases they can. Like in the up north here in Canada, they have very, very limited times, between Maghrib and Fajr. So in these cases, yes, they can combine and praying Maghrib and Isha.
Sheikh, but for combining the prayer, if you want to go like for travel, okay?
Yes.
And we know you cannot do Qasr and Jama unless you leave the city, right?
So when any time for traveler where the permission is there to shorten the prayer, the permission is there to combine the prayer. So the Jama is connected with Qasr. Jama is connected with Qasr for a traveler.
No,
so the traveler, if it's allowed for him to shorten the prayer, then at the same time, he's allowed for him to combine.
No, my question is, let's say I want to leave to Montreal.
Yes.
Okay. And I prefer to do the prayer because of, maybe I can't, pray during leaving the city or...
So one of the condition of combining the prayer, because even rukhsa has a condition. There's no rukhsa with no condition. There are many conditions attached to that. So one of the conditions that you have to start your trip, not by just your intention. So you have to leave your locality. So So you don't have to leave the city, especially nowadays when a city like Toronto, you go like for 45 minutes or more from one edge to the other edge, or even London became like, half an hour driving within the city, yes? I guess, from one, side from the north to the, south. So when you're leaving your zoning area, you're now not in your zoning, not in your locality. Then that now the permission is there. So let's say you are far from the mosque, 10 minutes driving, and you are coming from your home with the intention that you are traveling. So you stopped at the mosque, even that the mosque, the local mosque in your city, you can pray, Jama' and Qasr. Because you already established your trip. So you started your trip and you left your zoning behind. But if you're still at your home, no. It's not just by your intention. If still your home, you have not started your trip, you are not, exempt, in this case.
So you come to Oxford Mosque, then you leave. You can do the...
Yes, that, as I said, in the condition that your zoning is behind you, you're not count that from your area. Yes? So I don't know where you live, but if you are, as I said, like 7-8 minutes driving from the mosque, yes, that's, count that you are behind, you left your zoning behind.
طيب إن شاء الله يا شيخ إذا الواحد في بيته
Yes.
in his home and he's traveling and he wants to combine ظهر and عصر but complete, is that okay?
No. It's the opposite. So the jama' is connected with qasr. When the qasr would be permissible, the jama' would be permissible for traveler. I'm saying for traveler.
Because you want to combine, easy to pray Asr and Dhuhr before you travel. So when you travel, you start using the permission of travel.
The combining prayer for the local ones only for al-jama'a al-ratibah, not for those are staying at their homes.
Okay, so there is...
The combining the prayer for the jama'a al-ratibah, for the main jama'a, not for any people even gather for any activities or somebody staying at his home. Because the purpose of that to make it easier for them, they didn't have to come for the next prayer at the bad weather.
So there is no madhab to combine a prayer. I'm not saying about traveling, but sometimes we use it before travel. I said, okay, because of Asr and Dhuhr, and I'm going to travel, I want to make it... No.
Inna salata kanat amina kitaban mawquta, and the exemption for some reasons, this is not one of the reasons of exemption.
Okay, so
like, it's still at your home. Yes,
So
for your convenience, you want to be praying together, but that's what's going to make it different even in other days. You have not started your trip yet. It's the same things. Even in other days, you say, oh no, I'm going to do the same. If that will be permissible, then it will be permissible at even other days. Because your title here, you're still resident. You're still citizen and resident. You are not a traveler. Okay? You have not gained the title of traveling unless you actual travel.
I mean, at traveling, we know we have to leave the house. Okay?
Okay.
But I'm just taking that if there is any madhab to say that you combine like Shafi'i or Maliki or Abu Hanifa.
No. Why
you cannot combine without
why
reason.
Why you're combining? What's the reason of combining? Tell me.
The reason of combining when you travel...
No, you're not traveling.
No, sorry. It's not because I'm not using that as permission of travel. Before travel, to make it easy, you can just combine Dhuhr and Asr. There is no way to accept this, right?
No.
Okay, Jazakallah.
No. I just told you, if it's permissible, then it's permissible for you to shorten the prayer. If it's permissible, because said, oh, I'm going to make it easier for me to travel. So, if it's permissible, then what's even more should be permissible that to shorten. Because in the reasons of shortening the prayer comes before the reason of combining the prayer at the time of traveling. Okay? Now, is it like always when we look at the fiqh, you will find sometimes plenty of opinions. Now, especially if you go to the Sheikh Google or Mufti Twitter, or you look at the internet, you will find many things could be confusing. Or even you read of the kutub of al-madahib, you could find different in your reason. And you could find even somebody will refer to Sahaba, they will say, you know what, they shortened the prayer before starting their trip. But these narrations, many of the school of thought never rely on them. Because there's still that ijtihadat fardiyya min as-sahaba, the single opinion among the Sahaba. And when the ijtihad al-sahabi become an evidence and hujjah, when? Tell me. The sahabi, his action is not hujjah, or his saying is not hujjah except in two conditions. If he's faqih among the sahaba, and there's no other sahabi that knowing that he said something against that opinion or opposite of that opinion. إذا كان ذلك الصحابي من فقهاء الصحابة ولم يوجد من يعارضه من الصحابة صار حينها قول ذلك الصحابي حجة. So when somebody will refer to some of the Sahaba, they did that, it's not necessarily that's an evidence that we follow. I hope that will be clear. Yeah. And again, there are a point here really important. Most of the time when it comes to business, to life experience, all other things what we do, we try to secure the matter. And we try to go with certainty and with no doubt. And even we try to go with the rules that apply, in most of the cases, or we try to make it valid according to all opinions. This thought should be when it comes to salah. Salah especially, we should take ihtiyat. In other, maybe ibadat will be difficult, maybe it's different ways. But when it comes to salah, try to go with the way that have kind of a guarantee that's acceptable according to all. So why we said, it's valid according to Al-Shafi'i. For example, Imam Shafi'i, it's not condition for him to make dalk for wudu. It's not one of the fara'id. All other Imams, it's dalk, it's fard. So why I have to, in this case, follow the opinion of Imam Shafi'i? Why I could make dalk? You know what's dalk? Imrarul yadi ala al-udu. Just to rub, with my hand over the part that I'm washing at the time of putting the water. So Imam Shafi'i, he said that action is not must. But however, that is useful in some cases. Somebody will say, I have a dry skin, I have a problem, I could not even do that. You know what? Allah brought mercy for you. There's a valid opinion according to Imam Shafi'i. You can apply this. But why I have to do that in a normal situation? According to Imam Shafi'i, for example, you can, and it's permissible just to rub on part, just to wipe on part of your hair. It's not, you don't have to do all of it. Because he interpreted the ayah and the ba in the ayah as ba'd. وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. He said, the ayah, Allah could say, وَامْسَحُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ. Why said, بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ بَاءُ لِلسُّوقِ. He said, this is tab'id. However, that meaning is very weak in Arabic language. باء للتبعيد لم يقل بها إلا ابن الجني في كتابه الخصائص. And say that باء للتبعيد, it's not that common. And other Imams, they said, no, هذه باء الآلة. أي وامسحوا بأيديكم رؤوسكم. So there is a purpose for that ba, but it doesn't mean that's part of it. And looking at the hadith and the common action of the Prophet that he used to rub and to wipe all over his head. And even one time in the hadith that Imam Shafi'i considered that the Prophet he rubbed on the Jummah, the front of his hair, وَأَكْمَلَ عَلَى كَوْرِ عِمَامَتِهِ, and he completed on the rest of his imamah. Actually, the hadith that if it was enough, only part of it, why the Rasul would complete on over his imamah. You get the point? So that first of all, it's not the common action, and even that's questioning, because you have to look at that. Now, if I rub or wipe over the entire hair, my salah is valid according to all. Is that right? But if I do just part of it, it's according to some school of thought, some opinion, and I should try to make it valid according to all. I hope that will be clear. However, that opinion of Imam Shafi'i, it might be useful and needed in some cases. Like a sister came to me, she said, I'm not feeling comfortable to take off my hijab even in a public washroom. And nowadays, you know why. You know why. It's not even safe. They are not feeling safe inside the female public washroom. They didn't feel safe. SubhanAllah. Not only just from transgenders. No. Not even from other female. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and that's a hikmah. أَوْ نِسَائِهِنَّ. He didn't say أَوْ nisa, any women. نِسَائِهِنَّ. That's from those that you can trust. So she said, I don't feel comfortable. So it's okay, that's fine. Just wet your fingers and put it between your hijab and your hair. And that will be suffice for you according to Imam Shafi'i opinion. Or Imam Abu Hanifa as well. Imam Abu Hanifa just he limited to quarter of your hair, not just part. Like more than just a few hairs. So here the point. When I am practicing my ibadah, I will try my best. If that's now extra effort, I should make it in a way that will be acceptable according to all. And I take babu al-ihtiyat. Babu al-ihtiyat. There's ahwat and there's aysar. Ahwat and aysar. Now, if something that accessible is not extra burning, and I could do it and make it really having more sign of acceptance, then I should go for it. Yes, sisters.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
During the winter time, my shift starts at 3:30.
I couldn't hear.
During the winter time, my shift
During the winter time.
My shift started at 3:30 in the afternoon, the second shift.
Yes.
At that time, most of the time, it will be very close when I'm driving that the Asr will calling for the prayer around 3:21, 3:25, and I'm supposed to be working because I supervise children at 3:30, so I'm supposed to be with them all the time. I choose for myself, I make the fatwa for myself that I combine after I pray Dhuhr very close to me to leave my house, even if the Asr is not calling for the prayer. I pray Asr, then I leave my house to the shift. Is this okay?
Okay. Which type of job you're working? In a factory?
No, I do school age before and after.
School? School
age before and after. Like when the school is done, we take the children from the school and we start to give them to the parents after that.
Yes. So there are type of work where you are working in a line, there's a factory or something, you cannot stop and you cannot leave your position except in a certain time. They are very strict with that. That's a different. But in this case, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. If somebody excuse himself or herself to go to washroom, they will fulfill that need for them or not? They will say no, do not go to washroom?
We could leave, but
Yeah, but I just answer me this simple question. They will say they want to go to washroom. They will say no?
They will not say no because they will consider it for 2 minutes and go back, pretend.
No, a washroom. I didn't know. I might have a diarrhea or something. I'll go to washroom. When you go to washroom, they will expect in that 10 minutes. I know. We know. We live in the same place.
Too much. 10 minutes too much. They consider it just a quick.
So, but I'm just asking. They allow for washroom or not? They will allow. Okay. Now, sister, it's really important that you understand. Every work has a challenge. Regardless. Every job and duty has a challenge. And we have to know how to face that challenge in the right way. Now making a fatwa for ourselves for something that's not supported by any evidence, that's a big issue, you know. And I know you're concerned that you don't want to miss the prayer, but is it concerned that the validity of the prayer itself, it's important? It's not just something we get rid of it or off our shoulder and we just perform it in any way. No, we wanna the accurate way that will lead to acceptance. So we have to be careful about that. We have a right, and any person that has any challenge about the prayer, and any prayer, especially Friday prayer if you want to come, or prayer during the work, please contact me. I will issue a letter that to ask for exemption for certain period of time, like, you know, you could perform the prayer like maximum 8 minutes. You can even do it even less. You know, fine. You don't have to do the full tuma'nina. The minimum level of tuma'nina, that will be fine. So 6 minutes will be fine. Like, you know, you can do it because you don't want to take the advantage of this. If they allow you, you will be reasonable. With the wudu, 10 minutes, you know, you could do it, you know, any prayer. And especially if you prepare yourself in advance. So here, if you don't have a place that you're looking for accommodation, or a time that you're right, and you have to know your right of religious accommodation. They have to accommodate you, but with a reasonable way. So you come and I'll issue a letter for you. From my experience, so far, nobody so far rejected. Only one time I received a call for just more further clarification, and those people from human resources in that company, actually they make it main rules after that letter for just asking one person, make it the whole rules for the old workers, and even they give them a space. Yes, they give them a space. It happened with you as well. So we have to know our right, you know, that we want to fulfill our duties. Because it's happened now, Dhuhr, it might be even happen at Asr and Maghrib. Now in the winter, I'm sure you will face even Maghrib issue with that, not only Asr. You made your own solution for Asr. What's going to happen in the winter when you have a Maghrib as well, it comes at time of work. So it's better that you know your right and fulfill that, you know, bidnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah, if you come, inshallah, I will prepare a letter for you that they will consider. We write it together and it's submitted to them. Inshallah, they will consider and they will accommodate you for that. Because that's your need. As your physical need, you want to go to washroom, the spiritual need is really important, and that's be guaranteed by the law. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom of Rights, that's guarantee for you your right to be accommodated for your prayer.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
I hope that will be clear, inshallah. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, brother.
If I come in the last rak'ah of Isha or Maghrib, and I come in the last rak'ah, so how I complete the remaining rak'at without a tahiyyat continuously, or I have to?
Yes. Okay. So the Prophet ﷺ, he heard like kind of a noise, and that's from people they try to catch the prayer. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إذا أتيتم فأتوا الهوينة. In other words, بسكينة ووقار. You know, so when you come, don't make noise, and don't even like try to speed, because that might affect your khushu'. When you come, you will catch your breath. You know, it's not that easy for you. So come slowly, not like you say, you know why, you looks like a lazy. You know, it's different. Like slowly and lazy. You know, you try your best, speed up a little bit, yani, but not to the point that you will, cut your prayer. So you come and join the prayer. And he said, فَمَا أَدْرَكْتُمْ فَصَلُّوا وَمَا فَاتَكُمْ فَأَتِمُّوا. Wherever you witness, you would pray. Wherever you missed, you would make up. Okay? So ما أدركتم فصلوا وما فاتكم فأتموا. There's two riwayah. There's another riwayah وما فاتكم فقدوا. Whatever you missed, then you make up. So one riwayah, whatever you messed up, you continue. The other riwayah, you messed up, you make up. So now, did I continue or I make up? Some scholars, they consider that's just atim, like Imam Ahmad. And that's the easy way for practice in this regard. Just atimmu. I attended one rak'ah, so I stand up, I continue the second and make the shahad after, then I stand for the third and the fourth. As if you know that I started my salah my own. So I continue. That's an easy way of practice of this, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. And you could do that. Other ways that combining between the two riwayah, like Imam Malik did. So he combined between two. And it's better that to combine between two. If there's two different riwayah, the first thing is that not to consider one, but to make jama'. To look at the two riwayah. So what he did, he said, atimmu bil aqwal waqdu fil af'al. So he will continue in the actions, but for the saying, he will make up as if it's like he messed, as the way he messed. Okay. So the example that you mentioned, you attended the last rak'ah, and then you stand up, you make the second, and you make the shahad. And then you have other two. That's the actions. But what they're saying, now when I stand up, I pray, that's a second. But actually, it's my first, as I miss it. Now, I make the shahad. Then I stand. This is a third in numbers. But it's a second, as I miss it. Which is Fatiha and Surah. Then I will stand. That's the fourth in the numbers. But it's the third as I miss it. You get the point now? So in this, it's very similar, except the third one, when I'm standing after tashahhud, that's, according to Imam Ahmad, is the third in numbering and the third in actions, with just Fatiha, and not that loud. Okay? And according to Imam Malik, that's the third in number, but is the second that I missed, which is Fatiha and Surah, and it's loud. Whatever way, it's acceptable, inshallah, because it's matched with the evidence. The first way is easier, yes? Yeah? Okay. Imam Shafi'i, I don't remember now at this moment, that I believe that he's like Imam Ahmad in this regard. I believe. I'm not sure exactly. Abdul Rahman, search it, Imam Shafi'i. That I think it's like Imam Ahmad in this regard.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شيخ الله يبارك من طويل إن شاء الله. My question is Salatul Fajr. Salatul Fajr Azan is 4:09 or 4:10. Somehow I'm praying for home. So the Iqam time is a 5, like mosque. So we're gonna pray 5:15 or 4:15 or like 4:20. So it's okay, or I wait like.
So in the second hadith of Muwatta Imam Malik, that the Prophet ﷺ prayed behind Jibreel. And who was leading now? Jibreel alayhi salam. And he prayed at the beginning of the time. And then he prayed with him at the end of the time, before the sunrise. And then he said, Al-waqtu bayna hada wa hada, time between this and that. And the lesson from this, that the salah has a window. As long as you perform the salah on that window, you are not at the blame. That's fine. There's no issue with this. Actually, some scholars like Imam Abu Hanifa, he prefer for Fajr that to delay. Not at the beginning of the time is enter. So, delay that, the time. But again, if you perform Salah and you start the Salah on time, even if you finish it out of time, you're okay. So let's say somebody woke up, from the back, please. If somebody woke up before, the sunrise with a few minutes, and you're able to make takbir before even 1 minute before the sunrise, that consider that you are on time. So it's not what's considered when you finish the prayer, when you started the prayer. Always allow yourself enough time. That will be the best way. So you don't have to worry about this, especially nowadays where there's short nights, the Isha is late. So if you pray right on the adhan of Isha and you want to delay Fajr, close to the sunrise, just to gain some time for sleep, if you're able to control that, that will be fine. Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Angel Jibreel, he sent the messages to the Prophet.
We couldn't hear.
Angel Jibreel sent the messages to the Prophet.
Give her the other mic.
Angel Jibreel sent the messages to the Prophet, and all the prophets are gone. So what does Angel Jibreel do now?
Yeah, it's a sad question, yeah. So one time, Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar, the question that the main job of Sayyidina Jibreel, that he will come with the revelation to the messengers. And now what he's doing? Yes. One time Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar, they decided to go and visit a lady in Medina that was very close to the heart of the Prophet ﷺ. And then when she saw them and they were talking about ﷺ, she started crying. And they tried to calm her down. And she said, I'm not crying because of the death of ﷺ, but because I'm crying because of the discontinuation of the revelation that coming with guidance. I'm crying because there's no more revelation that will come to guide us. Because she linked, the life of Sallam with that revelation that he received from, from Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, which very deep, understanding. But now you're asking about the Jibreel alayhi salam. First of all, that's not the only duty of Jibreel. That was one of the main duty of Jibreel alayhi salam. So he still have other things to do. Second, that every year in Ramadan, that he would come with other angels. He will lead them in Laylatul Qadr. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ سَلَامٌ هِيَ حَتَّى مَطْلَعِ الْفَجْرِ. And he's like, the chief of Malaika. He's looking after, of those Malaika, and he's the one, giving order to many of them. So Jibreel alayhi salam, he has many other duties beside that, and he's still coming, visiting, at least as we know, once in a year, but at least, with other angels in Laylatul Qadr. I hope that would answer your question. Okay.
Alaikum.
عليكم السلام ورحمة
جزاك الله خير.
الله. آمين أجمعين.
طيب, my question is it permissible to use a credit card to collect cash back if you pay it on time, not to make late
The
payment?
cashback, it's permissible. There's no issue with that cashback because the cashback, it's like a gift that the buyer, he is offering for you. So you are not like a main, like you're seeking that or whatever, but it's there. It's a, some people, they are very, concerned and they are wanna like, on the safe side. That's their issues. But if you're asking, is it permissible or not? That's fine. Because we have a rule called غانم سالم halal. في غانم غارم haram. غانم سالم, that you gain, but at the same time, everyone is, is gaining, or nobody is jeopardized, or nobody being like, taking his right, or somebody is losing. It's you're dealing with somebody, and he's saying, if you are buying from me, I will make a discount for you, or give you, I'll pay you back something, or it's, get the point. So this is like a business trick. They are coming people. At the end, the buyer, like, he's the one actually gaining. It's not you, if you think of it. It's a business model, and they are gaining from that. What you are gaining is just pennies, was not that, big, but it's fine. Some of them, they give you points for traveling. Some they give you like a check at the end of the year. Some of them, they have different ways. All of that is fine. You don't have to worry about it. As you said, as long as you are paying on time, and you are making sure that, you are not falling in that unlawful condition of paying interest. And how you can avoid that? You can go to your bank and ask them for full pre-authorized payment. It's better to use a limited credit, so you know that you are able to pay back according to your income, and you connected with your debit. So when you connected your credit card with your debit card, technically your credit card became like a debit, because you don't have to worry about it. Another way that's safer as well, to use prepaid credit card. But most time the prepaid card, the credit card didn't have those options of cashback. So you link, yeah, they do some of them now. It's good. So it's good. Yeah, but most time they don't. Just maybe special credit card, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Sheikh, non-Muslim friends, they wish...
Generally speaking, somebody will ask about the credit card itself. What is halal or haram? Now looking at the conditions, there is haram condition there. And how in contract you accept a condition that's not Islamic? But here, the scholars allow that because we have a rule. أن الحاجة تنزل منزلة الضرورة. The need take the position of the necessity. And now if you ask, there is a need of that or not? Definitely there is a need. Many things that will be complicated and delayed for you if you don't have a credit. This is a system how it was built. So because of that, then scholars allowed it. I have not heard nowadays any of those scholars, they said no. Maybe somebody want to be precautious, that's a different story. But generally speaking, nobody said it's not allowed. Because there's a need of that. Especially for if you want to travel, if you want to rent a car or even a hotel. Many hotels, they didn't even accept down payment or security deposit just to pay them cash. No, they said, no, we want a credit card. So in these cases, you kind of be enforced to have it. Now banks, they made some kind of solution where they attach the debit card with Visa, So they called it debit Visa. They 2-in-1, but still, it's not the same. But at least making some solution, for some, occasion, at least when you buy online, you can use that one, at least, for that purpose. Maybe if not for renting a car or not for booking a hotel. Used for renting a car? Huh? The debit one? Oh, the prepaid. The prepaid. Visa debit used for what? For renting? I'm not sure, but if you used for the renting car, I'm sure they ask you to pay the insurance. You did, okay. So here the difference is because the credit card that will cover you for the insurance, so you're not paying the insurance for the car. So, as I said, it might make it more complicated if you don't have credit card, especially later on if you want to have mortgage, even halal mortgage, even the Muslim company, they want to check your credit score. And without having a credit card, you cannot build your score. It's almost impossible. Yes. Yeah, you enter the office, they said no, accept the credit card. Yeah. No, they said no. Yeah. So again, this is like a need, and sometimes it's out of necessity. Nowadays, a lot, those landlords, they ask for a credit score. And if you don't have a good one, they are not going to give you the house. Where are you going to live? So it became kind of something you have to have it. But just to avoid that you might forget, link it with your debit card. That you will be, inshallah, in a safe side. Yes, brother.
Non-Muslim friends, they wish during Eid, Ramadan, so can I wish them back during Christmas? Can I say Happy Christmas to them when it is Christmas? That's my question.
Greeting non-Muslims for their occasions and their celebrations. Of course, of that celebration is non-religious celebration. Has nothing to do with any religion. That's will be in the area of permissibility. That the area of things that are permissible, mubah. Because you're living and you coexist, and as neighbors, they have right. They have wedding occasions. They have even Thanksgiving. If not, I think it's not related to any religious, practice. It's the celebration of harvest, the farmers, like in a time of harvest. So, if something has no religious basis and not related to any practice or ritual, greeting them, that would be fine. Now, greeting them with something that has a religious, that will be considered as kind of acceptance of that. You get the point? It's not just being kind and nice. That you greet the person, that means you share the happiness with that person. So you are happy, you're pleased with that celebration. And maybe they celebrate the devil, like, the Halloween. Or maybe they celebrate, the resurrection of Isa, like the Easter. Like, they believe that he died and then, in the Good Friday, and then he will come in Easter. So that means there's agreement. You agree on that. So be careful about this. If religious celebration. If something is now, it's not like religious anymore, like the winter holiday. They might connect it with the Christmas. They might connect it with something like that. But saying like a Merry Christmas, the word itself is not like a word that's just a greeting. No, that include that ritual from them. That's just something they said it in a certain time, certain occasions, and carry certain belief. So in this case, if I have a neighbor or even a family member celebrating that, and he's from that, belong to that one, saying, for example, happy holiday, where you share the holiday as well. Happy holiday, for that. That would be a permissible, point, but do not go further. So because of some obligations, some rules of that because of the right of neighborhood, the right of the co-workers, that to show that a kind of respect on that, it's just limited to this. And by the way, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, he made that fatwa, tahni'atuhum, that to greet the people of faith, the people of other religion with their celebration, that is permissible. Yes. Tahni'atuhum, it is permissible. But again, do not use the term that contradict our faith. So you say just, like happy holiday for that, something that became just a holiday. Now everybody's celebrating it. It's not just a Christian, or it's not all, even though they have its background related to that. So if you are in that situation where you have to share with them, then you limit to that way only. And do not involve in the situation when they are drinking alcohol or they're making parties. That's not right. That's engagement to that level. That's fully agreement, for what they are doing. So we have to know our limit. So you're not allowed to go to that parties and to not even be present at the time of drinking, but just they said word to you, whatever, you reply with just happy holiday general term, that's fine. And try not even to start. Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Nowadays, we all know the moral corruption that we see. And as Muslims, should we migrate back to any other Muslim countries to save our children for a short period of time? Or no, we should stay here and show our best as Muslims and in our behaviors?
So, simple answer is a case by case. For some people, they are losing their identity and there is no purpose of staying, and there is other place that's safer and better option, then they should. Allah said, فَتُهَاجِرُوا فِيهَا أَلَمْ تَكُنْ اللَّهُ وَاسِعَةً فَتُهَاجِرُوا فِيهَا. Some others, that's actually their land, their place, and that's where their families, their communities, and they are surviving, they are doing great, and they are strong in their faith. No, those they should stay. So it's a case by case. We cannot say, somebody has to leave this or that. And some people that are in a Muslim land, they cannot practice their religion. Yes, they cannot practice. It happened like in Tunisia, and one time, if a lady with hijab, she cannot work and she cannot go to school. And even in Turkey, in one point, if somebody will go for Fajr, he will be in a blacklist. In Libya, if somebody will have a beard, he will be in a prison. One of my shuyukh, he was in a prison for 8 years for no reason except that he has a beard. So can you imagine in one time, there's issues that it's hard for them even to practice their religion in a Muslim land, Muslim majority land. So in those cases, those people, they have to find other place where safely practicing their religion. So it's not moving now, we say Darul Islam wa Darul Kufr. Those terms where exist in historical background where has reason at that time. And now there is no terms that are called Darul Islam or Darul, Al-Kufr. Those terms that was initiated that for certain circumstances, those circumstances not exist nowadays. So those terms, it goes with that era. Now we say, if you can practice your religion, in that place, and you are safe for yourself and your children, then you be active in that place, bi'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will reward you. The hadith that, the people narrate and they take it out of its context, أَنَا بَرِيءٌ مِمَّنْ أَقَامَ بَيْنَ أَظْهُرِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, that's, the Prophet said that, yes. He like as if somebody cleaning his hand. I have nothing to do with those are staying among mushrikeen. I'm free from them. I'm not responsible from them. That hadith was taken out of its context. Because some of the Sahaba, they cannot immigrate at that time. And at the time, if there's an attack, we don't know they are Muslims or not. So they might be killed by other Muslims. So there's no blame if that happened, because how we would know? That's why it's must for you at that time to immigrate. Because now they had to be distinguished where the group of kufr and where is the state where they of believers. So there has a certain circumstances, no issue with that. The same one, he said the statement, he's the same one, he sent the Sahaba to Abyssinia. And Abyssinia at that time is a majority of Christian. It's the same one. And those Sahaba, they stayed in Abyssinia, in Habasha, and they have not immigrated right away. When the Prophet immigrated to Medina, they stayed 8 years after. And then they joined him after Sulh Hudaybiyah. Ja'far ibn Abi Talib came to the Prophet 8 years when he was in Medina. So why he's 8 years staying in Habasha if it's must for him to migrate? Was not a must for him to migrate, and he was an option, for him to do so. If you can practice your religion in any locality, in any area, please, do so, and no must for you to migrate. And that's, you have to make up your mind. Why is that? Because if you are not making up your mind, you are not going to be active. You are not going to be proactive. You're not going to have a good impact on your locality. So it should be end of the conversation when a lot of people, they make it hard for Muslims. They said, even your staying is haram. Who said that? Why are you making halal and haram for Muslims where you can go anywhere? As long as you are able to practice Islam, able to pray, able to raise your voice, and able to protect your children. If you cannot, then that's a different story. May Allah protect us all. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وبلغنا في الدارين مطلوبنا. اللهم نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. آمين.